Now, over the weekend, environmental protesters have reached a new low, hurling soup at the Mona Lisa in the Louvre in Paris in their latest stunt. Luckily, for a very long time, that painting has been held behind glass in the museum. Well, what is the point of these stunts? They've done lots of them. Some of them actually involve proper physical damage to a priceless work of art. What is the purpose? And is it achieving anything? Well, joining me now to discuss this is the Director of Climate Media Coalition, Donnachadh McCarthy. Also, Claire Thistle is still with us as well, former Home Office advisor. Good morning to you, Donnachadh. Do you think these kind of demonstrations, these kind of protests, do they serve a purpose? Is it justifiable to risk damaging a priceless, one of the most famous works of art in the world, to make your point about the environment?
Well, I thought this would be a protest you would support, Julia.
Why? No, I mean, I don't particularly like the painting.
Nobody was saying, oh, really? Oh, that's lovely.
Have you been to the
I have seen it. It's a bit disappointing.
I mean, basically, it's about the size of a you stand at the back. It's the size of a postage stamp. Doesn't really do it for me.
It's quite disappointing.
But yeah.
But I would say, from a point of view of, it didn't hurt anybody. It didn't cause any cost damage. And it put the issue that they're talking about, which is a really interesting one, it's actually food sustainability and food affordability. 11 million people in Britain can't afford food. They've got to suffer from food poverty.
Well, they can. 11 million people are starving in this
I didn't phrase that well. They suffer
right.
from food poverty. And the other thing is that they talked about food needs to be cheap and needs to be sustainable. What this has put on the agenda is the fact that we've got a soil crisis in the United Kingdom. The Tory government said that we have around, some of our soils have only around 40 crops left. 85% of the soil in East Anglia is gone. So we hold this soil in trust.
We've heard these things before, and then it's amazing the ability of the earth to rejuvenate itself. Can I point out,
if
you're worried about food sustainability, you need food to be abundant, you need it to be cheap, so people can afford it. Do you know what half of the world's population rely on for their food? Fertilisers. Man-made fertilisers. Do you know how we make man-made fertilisers? We use fossil fuels. Can we have a little round of applause once again for fossil fuels, for saving lives, keeping the human race alive? Well done, fossil fuels.
But Julia,
you don't like fossil fuels.
No, but what I do like is cheap food. But what I also like,
no. Answer my point. No, you can't have cheap, affordable.
If you kill the soil, you have no food. If you kill the soil, now Michael Gove, not a mad radical environmentalist, said that some of our soils are so damaged by industrial agriculture, they've only got 40 crops left. So we really need to address that. And also our food is killing our wildlife. My father was born in 1900. Since 1900, we've lost 95% of the fish in the seas around Britain, and still we want to take more with trawling. We need to be sustainable for future generations, so they can
being sustainable with our soil and indeed with fish and things. Of course, that makes sense. And we've seen again and again where there is then a ban on, fishing a particular kind of cod or whatever. Those populations recover very, very quickly. That has happened all over the world where that's happened. That is a perfectly sensible way of managing our supplies and making sure that, you don't have fish that are breeding and then you prevent the next. That's just common sense.
But sadly, for the fishing industry, it hasn't been implemented.
The reason why we're able to sustain 8 billion people on this planet is because we have man-made fertiliser, and man-made fertiliser relies on fossil fuels. And all of these campaigners are all anti-oil, anti-fossil fuel. They want to go back to the Dark Age, to some mythical time, some medieval time when people ploughed their own fields and we all had this wonderful time when we sat under apple trees on a summer's day. It's an absolute load of nonsense. People used to die in childbirth. Julia, if they made it to adulthood, they died at 30. It was a miserable, horrible, nasty, brutish and short life.
You want me to reply?
And fossil fuels are the reason why we don't live like that now.
OK, so hopefully I can respond. Around a plant-based diet, these people want a sustainable diet. A plant-based diet uses 1/10 of the land that actually a meat-based diet. We use less land
now making food than we did
94% of the mammals on the planet now are either humans or our livestock. We are devouring the planet with our current food system. And these two brave protesters are trying to alert us to the fact, well, we can't damage the soil.
What was brave about what they did? What was brave about what those protesters did?
Well, they're arrested. I don't know. It's scary being arrested.
It's scary being arrested. They knew they'd be arrested because they were committing criminal damage.
Well, you asked if they're brave.
And ruining. Some people may have travelled from overseas to go to see this painting. They queued up to get into Louvre. They paid a fortune. It's not even cheap. And then And then their days
by damaging the climate.
So,
for example, the ECIU have estimated we're facing an extraordinary food inflation at the moment, as you're aware. In the last 2 years, we've had 24% food inflation. Now, ECIU claims that at least a third of that is related to extreme weather events across the planet. In my local shop, they said they had no olive oil for the next 3 months.
So
do you know what? That's the canary. No, I know you're going to do that.
London will be
I know you're going to do that, but it's actually canary.
If they take the Parmesan and the rockets as well, it's all over people.
If you lose olive oil, what else are you going to lose, Julia?
We're not going to lose olive oil.
We have lost 50% of the crop.
Do you know, I could do this forever, but I mean, this is scaremongering.
It's not scaremongering. It's Michael Gove's scaremongering.
We've been having this scaremongering
It's Michael Gove's scaremonger.
Yeah, probably, yeah, because he was in charge of lockdowns. Yeah, Donnachadh McCarthy, we're going to have to leave it there. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
More scaremongering from Donnachadh in the next instalment.